Afternoon, Memphis. Welcome to the We Live All Day podcast. Broadcasting live from Antonio Burke Barbershop, EH Crump. Shout out to number one. I am your host, Will Ambush Jones, everybody's favorite uncle, brother, cousin, nephew, and neighbor. Today we have a very special guest, Memphis mayoral candidate, my guy, Stephen Bradley. Everybody welcome Stephen Bradley to the family.
Thank y'all very much. I truly appreciate that warm welcome. And it's an honor and a privilege to be here at the Antonio Burke's Barbershop doing the podcast. I love this because it's raw, it's authentic, there's nothing scripted here. So there's nothing, it's going to be straight from the hip. And we're going to give it to you just like we get to in South Memphis.
Amen to that, brother. I want to ask you a couple questions while we're here. You are running for Memphis, for the mayor of Memphis, for this beautiful city that we want to see come back to the form that it used to be in. One quick question. On your flyer, the first thing that I noticed was you have a sign of public health. That's an issue in Memphis that I feel is absolutely overlooked. Nobody talks about making Memphis healthier. With your background, I'd just like you just to let the people know where you're coming from and why this is your main issue, the first issue that you publicized on your flyer.
Well, we really want to be intentional about our platform issues. So we didn't want to focus on basic things. And what I mean by basics is not to say that it's low on the totem pole. But when we talk about education, we talk about wages, we talk about housing, we talk about public transportation. And what happens is those issues get lost because they are so individualized. But when I say public health, we're looking at the systemic issues that's plaguing our community. So when we are talking about systemic issues, we're talking about health in general. We're talking about food apartheid communities. That is to say that communities without access to fresh fruits and vegetables, access to sustainable food, but more specifically, beyond access, it would be affordability. Because we got to understand the dynamics of Memphis, Tennessee. We are 70% black and brown. That's double and also we're 40% in poverty rate. So that's double the national average. And to make it even more plain, in that 40%, 287,000 children consistently go to bed hungry every night. And so dealing with public health, that's locked inside of that. And what we're looking to do, so we know the issues, we know the problems, we're living it every day. So what can we do to look at that thing? First and foremost, if we want to talk about health in general, we need to make sure that everyone, regardless of your social economic status, that's a fancy word to say, no matter how big your bank account is, it doesn't mean how much you make an hour, you have the right to fresh fruits and vegetables, accessible foods that need to be a grocery store in your store, not a food swamp. A food swamp is another little two-cent word that says that you take out all of the Krogers out of my neighborhood, then you replace it with all of these fast food restaurants with no healthy choices. So this is done systemically. Understand that this is not done just because that's the heat of the moment. They're saying that this is the way to gentrify your genius. So you understand that fresh fruits and vegetables are important to your brain. It's important to your success because that's what gives vitamin A, K, D, N, and the rest of them. So you can be able to regurgitate the knowledge that you have been learned, but more specifically, you can be able to conjure up original thought. So through systemic bad racist policies, they said they don't deserve that, and also we got to cut the competition out. So let's give them Dodge's fried chicken, let's give them McDonald's, let's give them Central Park, let's give them all of this food that's old school right there. You got to be from Memphis, no Central Park. But yeah, you got to be. They said let's do this intentionally. So when the kids get to school, off this nutritionally dense food, they can't eat, they can't think, they're frustrated. And then we ship them from their community to a school in Germantown or beyond where they live, and now they have no advocate. They have nobody from their community that'll fight for them. Say, hold on, little Johnny's just a little upset today. Let me take him to the office. We're not going to suspend him. So we're perpetuating that cycle. So we're here. We're here to stop that. So we're going to make sure first and foremost that every community, we're going to put in urban gardens right there. So we're going to be self-sufficient. This is a municipality to create sustainable communities. So out of this urban farm, we can be able to distribute from there to employee-owned grocery stores. Now we create co-ops, which they call, you hear the fancy words here, And Memphis says TIF community. A TIF community said it's a community that's sustaining itself. So all the tax dollars that's spent inside of that district, inside of that community, goes right back into infrastructure, go right back into education. So we want to extend that TIP community beyond downtown and beyond some other affluent neighborhoods to encompass South Memphis, North Memphis, Smoky City, New Chicago, East Memphis, all the way out. These are the communities that have been redlined and pushed to the margins, and these people have been ostracized too much, and we constantly padding the pockets of the privileged. So we're going to redirect those funds, redesign those lines to make sure we include everyone. But I want to get to this point that personal accountability is the biggest thing at the end of the day. Once you got the information, knowing that where we're at right now at Antonio Burke's barbershop, that every time we spend $1 here, that money is going right back into the community, a percentage of it. So I'm not to say that don't go to Germantown and shop. I am saying invest into your community, because every time I leave South Memphis and go to Wolf Chase Mall and spend $500 at Dillard's or Macy's, none of that money comes back to South Memphis. Not a dime. That's all. So what happens? I'm paving their roads out there. I'm paying for their schools out there. I'm paying for their utilities out there. I'm doing everything they need, but I'm just killing myself. So we as black folks, we got to begin to listen and say, we got to keep the dollar here. And I know everybody heard this before, the dollar stays in the black community only 6 hours. But white community, it stays almost 30 days. Well, 2 weeks. Chinese, it stays 30 days. We're the only people saying that we do not shop and stay and invest in our own community. So, but that's through lack of dissemination of information. But more importantly, that's through gentrification, saying that this mall should be packed with businesses. So how can we get back to public health and this business, right? It's saying that we have blight programs. We also have edge programs that come to communities like this and said aesthetically, I can do the parking lot. I can fix the front of the building up. Now the business person that's saying, hey, this is my business, I got a business plan. We have a plan to say, listen, we'll give you $250,000 to get the business off the ground. But the problem is, it's not accessible enough. Walk away. They end up on a 25-year contract. They supposed to be sued for every $1 million that they did not comply with. But we allowed them to walk away, and now we got all those people here in Memphis jobless. So we got to hold them accountable, and the ones that's coming, they're going to understand that I am partnering with this city. And the residents that's going to be working for me, I got to pay them well. So I don't want to put a number on that $15 an hour. I'm for a fight for 15. Antonio, the leader of Fight for 15, right here. What's up, bro? That's my dog. But I told him the same thing. Yes, I push for $15 an hour. But the state says, I don't know if you guys know, 1968, when the sanitation workers went on strike, the collective bargaining agreement, the CBA, that's with the union, stated that by this time, if it kept up with the hourly rate, we'll be at $23 an hour right now. That's the collective bargaining agreement from 1968 that was signed and put into act by the president. But nobody's pushing that. They want us to be stagnant to look at $15 an hour. Pay attention. The average rent in Memphis is $850 in the hood. Now we want to move up and live in some affluent neighborhood, they're $1,500, $1,600 an hour, a month. How can we afford that at $15? Plus the car note, plus the insurance, plus education, plus the daily necessities. So I want to raise the expectations to say this is what it takes. And also the national average for salary in the nation is $75,000. That's the average. But in Memphis, Tennessee, the average is $50,000. Yeah. That's only because we count Collierville, because their average is $500,000.
Brother Bradley is coming. Pastor Bradley is coming with facts today. That's why we're here. That's why we do this. We live all day. Facts. We want to have some facts. We want to get some real information to counterweigh against this disinformation that they've been putting out in Memphis, Tennessee for years. I've been here all my life. I love my city.
Me too.
It hurts my heart to hear people brag about leaving this city and going other places. While I support them, I just asked the question to candidate Bradley. What can we do to stop people from leaving? Draw these businesses in here and keep some of the skilled workers and good people that we do have here.
For our residents that's here, great question. We got to take care of them first. We got to make sure they're happy, because that's our biggest cheerleaders. That's our biggest advertisement. Well, advertisement to say them the ones can bring more people. But what can the city of Memphis do? First and foremost, optically through media, let's stop slandering our people and let's stop slandering our city. And then we can start focusing on bringing in businesses. Like we spoke earlier, the newspaper reports 100 people a day move to Nashville. Why is that? Nashville do not publicize their crime like we do. Nashville is growing exponentially. They are building businesses after businesses. They are invested inside of their communities. They are invested in their people. They're creating a culture to say it's inclusive. We don't care if you're black, white, red, yellow, poor, or rich. We got a spot for you. They understand something. Your gift and your talent and your expertise. That's what we need. We have it here in Memphis. Most intelligent people, most athletic people, most gifted people, talented, comes from Memphis, Tennessee. At the end of the day, I done been to almost every state in America, visit, stayed a while, worked some while, overseas in different countries, right here in Memphis. Culture, true culture. True intelligence, and people who are driven and motivated. But the problem is, back to your question, is the past government, you said over time, the past 3 decades, start off with the 90s. We know who the mayor is, we ain't got to say it. That guy right there, he sat up here and sold us out. We're in the midst of a crack epidemic. The war on drugs, which is a war on black community. We got the first black mayor. And our city fell apart when he had the resources to stop it.
Do you think his age has anything to do with his functionality, maybe even capabilities now?
I wouldn't even put the age in there because of discrimination practices, but I would say that his...
it's a question that everybody asks quiet.
Okay, but I'm going to put it in this aspect right here. Take it like this. His ideas and visions are antiquated. That means outdated. And we're looking at millennials that we see around here at the barbershop, young folks that we see in South Memphis, young folks we see in North Memphis. Do you think he's in touch with any of them? No. I talk to him day in and day out. And they're saying, we don't know him, we wasn't born then, we don't care, he came out here and said nothing to us. But let's get back to the record. We understand when he took office, blacks in Memphis, Tennessee own 98% of the land, that's homes and businesses. When he got out 17 years later, we was down to 31% ownership. Poverty rate was at 12% right before the drug epidemic hit. When he left, it was at 36%. At that time, taxes was down. We was one of the lowest in the state, and well, in the nation. By the time he left, we was number 2. Back to more taxes. They has increased consistently over and over up under that administration. The gentrification started with Foot Homes through him. The selling of Beale Street to make it private. To also on the back end, what we're experiencing now, Beale Street bucks, the more oppression against the people that's already suffering for low wages and poverty. We want to add insult to injury. He started that. Tom Lee Park, we're talking about shutting it. Don't build, right? Don't build that here. He started that commission. He started that. He created that organization. So understand this. Most black people are perpetuators of the same thing white folk do to black people. That's oppressive. And through that administration, that's what he did. We shut down more schools. He sold off Memphis City schools to Shelby County schools. And in the deal of selling it off, the USDA, the federal government, found out $40 million was missing. So they sued Memphis and Shelby County to get the $40 million back. And now we got to pay $1.5 million a year just to satisfy the debt. And that's up under that administration.
That is a fact that is very, very seldom.
WellRounded Entertainment at its best, baby.